G'day, ajmahari here. This time, answering another commenter's question about BPD and splitting, which is obviously what a lot of people are trying in many ways to understand beyond even maybe what they know now, or maybe some people feel like, I get it, I understand it, but I really still don't get it, kind of thing. So the commenter commented on the video, well, I guess podcast episode of mine, BPD splitting destroys relationships, 14 signs how and why you need to probably go no contact. Can't see the rest of it. So the commenter says, what another question on splitting. Can someone with BPD split within seconds? Absolutely. So there can be a splitted evaluation within seconds, and then maybe really quickly, they might be calling you to say, whoa, like, I didn't mean that, or like, no, I really love you. So yeah, back and forth really quickly can be splitted evaluation, and then calling to try to make sure that you're still there, and they don't feel the same way as they did maybe even seconds ago when they split you to devaluation, because now they're kind of feeling again what they might have felt seconds prior to the split to devaluation. Because for a lot of people with BPD, or the patterns of not even diagnosed, but people especially not even treated with BPD, or even if they have modicums of treatment, they splitting in BPD is a longer term type treatment required to actually have people with BPD to recover to the point where they don't split anymore. That can really be healed in a process of years of therapy for people with BPD willing to go the distance with that. So the commenter continues, as in, so this really fast splitting back and forth, or splitting and then, being the opposite of that again. So the push-pull of it all, the approach-avoidance conflict. The commenter says, as in, my ex would often say, F off, leave me alone in an argument, and then a minute later, block me, then unblock me, ring me loads and loads and say he wants to talk. Yeah, because, that can happen for many people with BPD, because so they get into the split evaluation, they're into fear of abandonment or engulfment. They don't know this consciously most of the time, but they're having all these dysregulated emotional reactions, right? And they're getting triggered, which, again, I want to stress, people with BPD, their triggers are within them. Their triggers are from usually very traumatic childhood experiences, and so you don't trigger them. It's not your responsibility. The triggers are already their triggers, and they don't kind of realize that often either. So what you're describing is very actually common with a lot of people with BPD, male or female, and you're talking about a male with BPD. And then you said 1 minute he threatened to leave, break up, and then an hour later come back and say he regrets it. Or I don't love you anymore, and then a few days later before said his feelings just changed. Well, this is the key thing in BPD, is that with splitting, the splitting being driven by many things, because it starts really in early childhood, but and unconsciously, but the splitting like that is because they don't know themselves, because they don't have a stable sense of identity, because in fact they have a lost self, right? Arrested emotional development by or before the age of 2, according to object relations theory, which I think is still the best way to explain it, by the way. And so they don't know who they are. And because they don't know who they are, they don't, and they never learned, they weren't able to be helped with, or they didn't have the kind of family or parents to help them to try to even, help with emotional regulation. And so they're so dysregulated, feeling so many things because of this, that, or these are the borderline personality disorder repetition compulsion cycles within regard to splitting and the approach avoidance conflict. So the get away closer, the I hate you, don't leave me, the get out of my life, I can't stand you, because fear of abandonment, fear of engulfment, rejection sensitivity. And this can all just happen in seconds because back and forth or a few days because they don't really know what's going on. It's happening unconsciously. They know that they have these feelings or they don't have these feelings suddenly because nothing with people with BPD can be consistent or congruent or age appropriate because they have this emotional arrested development. They didn't grow beyond intellectually, yes, and getting a year older every year, but they don't emotionally grow beyond the arrested emotional development without significant long-term therapy, best in a psychodynamic modality. So the commenter said 1 minute okay, I read that part. Or I don't love you, and a few days later, feelings just changed. And then the commenter asked, what BPD behavior is this? Or is it ADHD? No, it's not ADHD. Be careful what you take in about ADHD out there because there seems to be some pseudoscience afoot or something where a lot of people want to, if they know about ADHD or whether they're psychiatrists or whoever's talking on YouTube or wherever else, they always want to equate, all these similarities between ADHD and BPD. Don't jump at that too quickly. ADHD really, when assessed properly and explained, I think, in the best possible ways, is not like some substitute or similar totally looking thing to borderline personality disorder, which a lot of people are getting confused about out there. And the person said it felt so confusing and painful. Yeah, well, when you ask what BPD behavior is this, it is what's known as the approach-avoidance conflict. So person with BPD is going to be approaching you. That's not always re-idealization after major devaluation splits, but that's like, now it's like the need and the want, and they're seeking identity through you unconsciously. So it's like, I didn't mean what I just said 10 minutes ago, an hour ago, 2 days ago, when they told you to F off, bug off, they don't love you anymore, you do this, that, and the other thing to them, which is coming from somewhere else in their unconscious, what happened to them in childhood, that they project that out on to those closest to them. And they don't even understand the effect they're having on you as the, quote, other that's closest to them. So it's approach avoidance conflict, it's get away closer, it's I hate you, don't leave me, it's push pull, it's hot cold, it's like right now I feel like I really, and whatever they say, love you, need you, want you. I didn't mean what I just said, because now they're in the approach phase again because they're feeling abandoned, they're feeling lost, they don't have an identity without you. And that might seem weird because they can change who they're with so often. But in repetition compulsion cycles unconsciously, they're trying to park and find identity through any other that they're close to for whatever amount of time. And then they come back and they feel different. And they love you all over again, which isn't truly they don't love you and then stop loving you. They're too emotionally immature to know how to love or take in your love or reciprocate your love because they don't know what it is and it's not safe for them and they don't have a self with which to contain that anyway. So then the other side of that is, so they come back and they tell you again that they love you and all this stuff, they want to be with you and all, their feelings just change, they don't know why, so they're going to use excuse 1 to 2, number 1, number 620, number 5,000, whatever. And then they'll put in, insert intellectual reason, like reason from my intellect here that I can imagine. Because you did this to me, then you did that to me, and I felt this way, but now, so the point is then they come back to you, right? Or they invite you back. And when people come and go, like they come and go and whatever, they unblock you and then they want to be with you again. Well, that's only going to cycle back really quickly or whatever their patterns are back to the F off, get away from me, I don't love you, I can't believe you did this to me. Because as soon as they get a little bit closer, they come back with, well, my feelings change, because they really don't know consciously why they're so all over the map. When especially people with BPD that are maybe more severely impacted and maybe much more, their emotions dysregulate so much they're very changeable. So when they come back, then it's like trying to be with you again. And you're like, oh, this is great, because you're thinking they really mean it or they know what they're doing when they don't. And then it's like for them, they get closer, then they fear engulfment, and they're not always aware of this, they're usually not. Then once the engulfment fear rises, it's like that's the avoidance conflict. So they approach out of fear of abandonment, and they need you. And then all of a sudden, no, something happens, triggered, like F off, and then when they come back, it's like they don't have an explanation. It's like whatever, you're just supposed to deal with it. And then the fear of engulfment happens as they try to get closer because they feel controlled, because they don't know how to trust that. That hasn't been safe in their experience, and they don't have a container of self to know where they end and you begin, and what they're feeling is like any different from what you're feeling, because in a way, for even people with BPD, unlike narcissists, you become like an extension of them in sort of a childlike understanding, as well as you become the object other parent representation. So when they're triggered and they're fearing abandonment and they want to dump you first, then it's like you are the object other bad parent. And it's like, F off, I'm going, I don't love you, I never loved you, blah, blah. Then within seconds, hours, days, whatever it is, could be weeks for some people's patterns with BPD, they come back because they're feeling abandoned. They have chronic feelings of emptiness. They don't know who they are, so they want to get back and be closer to you again as object other good parent, unconsciously. And then that starts to build again until all of a sudden, nope, they're triggered again because now you're trying to control me. You might say something really loving, like, wow, is it ever cool to be like in a calm, nice place with you tonight? And boom, they could get triggered. It's too close. Oh, you're trying to control me. What do you mean it's super nice right now? Or we're going to do this. They never know how they're going to feel, especially if they have patterns of BPD, not yet diagnosed. They have BPD, not yet treated. So splitting and, is essentially very much a borderline and a narcissist thing, and not for in the exact same ways all the time. But I don't think it's an ADHD thing. And the other thing is, so what behavior is this? I hope that was a good explanation of what behavior is it, because it's also the core content of people with BPD and why these relationships are impossible. And nice to get a comment, unfortunately, a woman who's with a man with BPD, but you see this works either way, this way. Approach, avoid, fear of abandonment, fear of engulfment, and there's no way that you can keep up with it. And it's just pushing and pulling you. It's manipulative. It's abusive. Are they doing it on purpose? Not always. But when you're going through that, you need to know it is about BPD. It is about splitting. It is about how they have this approach avoidance conflict, the push-pull, and no self to be congruent with any feeling. So the feelings are going to be all over the map, and it's not going to change. And so that's when what this commenter has described, it's a good time to ask yourself, why are you still letting this person recontact you? Why are you still letting them come back? Because you must realize by now, or if not, I hope you will, or if anyone else can relate to this, this is not going to change without years of therapy. You don't have time to invest in the what ifs or the if onlys of that. It's people with codependency that keep letting them come back because some people are afraid to be alone with codependency. Other people just don't want to have to face themselves or deal with the loss of somebody. Because in the beginning, right, they were people pleasing you. They were mirroring you. It felt so good. But you have to realize that this person with this BPD behavior, I hope I described, reasonably for your understanding, anybody that can relate to this in the commenter, is just cycles. It's cyclical. They can't help it. They're not in control of it. And you're just going to continually be experiencing this until and unless you start, to work toward no contact, but get into a healing recovery journey. I'm out here to work with people who resonate with me and want to stop the roller coaster to get off, but you're not sure how. It's super painful. You're still believing in this person maybe becoming again the person you fell in love with and who you thought they were. And they're not going to be able to do that, and they're not that person. So I hope that was helpful. And when you're going through this, it's really time to look for help so that you can work your way out of these unhealthy betrayal bonds that people with BPD in these cycles, splitting as quickly as this commenter mentions and describes, which is very common for many people with BPD, the relationships are impossible and you're just going to keep getting hurt. You need to get into your own healing recovery process for you.